This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram at Lone Wolf PB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. Today's episode of PTG is brought to you by the one and only Trans Labs that brought the world two amazing products. First off, Transfuse, which is a hydration multiplier, and most recently they just dropped Transcend, which is a nootropic energy formula. No matter what you use, when you choose Trans Labs, you are going to be boosted and you are going to be ready to charge the paintball field and win out there. With Transfuse, that is a premium rapid hydration multiplier and immunity fortifying formula scientifically designed to replenish you at the cellular level. And they use all natural ingredients in this product. We've got zinc, we've got vitamin B6, we've got vitamin C, sodium, potassium, choline, and it is an amazing way to make sure that you're hydrated and prepared to play top level paintball. When it comes to Transcend, that is a premium nootropic energy formula designed to increase cognitive performance, elevate mood and clarity while supporting long-term brain health, and it's going to leave you feeling great with no crash or jitters. It's one of the only products in the nootropic space backed by research studies to ensure the formula is correct for optimal performance. It is more potent than anything on the market, and it will keep you charged and ready to win out there. I take one scoop, but if you're stimulant sensitive, take a half scoop, and if you want that LFG dose to launch to the moon, dump 2 scoops in your drink and you are going to be flying down that paintball field. Comes in 2 delicious flavors, Baja Blast and Skittles Candy for the Transcend. And for the Transfuse, they have 2 new flavors as well, Pineapple Express and Hawaiian Punched. So if you get a chance, head over to translabs.com. That's TRANZLABS.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME and you'll get 10% off. If you subscribe to a monthly delivery service, you also get 10% off as well. So you could take advantage of 20% off on these products. Head over to translabs.com and give it a go.
This episode is brought to you by Biocell RX. Biocell RX is an amazing company that makes some of the best CBD I have ever tried. I've been personally using this product for over 3 months, and it does not disappoint. I don't go anywhere without it. When traveling, it's really hard to get to sleep, especially when I'm swapping time zones and going to different places, sleeping in hotels and not in my own bed. CBD helps me get a good night rest so that I can wake up feeling refreshed, ready to coach, ready to teach, or ready to compete. Whatever it is, I take my CBD with me. My CBD is my partner in crime, my partner in travel. Biocell is one of the products that, if it's not in my backpack, I'm not leaving the house. You guys are definitely going to want to head over to biocellrx.com and pick up a bottle of your own. The cool thing about Biocell is they offer CBD at an incredibly highly concentrated formula. With over 6,000 milligrams per bottle, you can get one bottle and hold on to it for a long time. The typical dose for CBD is around 30 milligrams, so you do the math. One bottle will last you a very long time. You don't have to deal with constantly ordering new products and waiting for it to arrive and maybe running out, all of the nonsense. Use code PLAYTHEGAME and get $25 off at checkout. All right, everybody. What's going on, PTG Nation? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This episode we have, they're all bangers. They're all amazing. We do nothing but bring on the best possible guest. All the guests are amazing. They make the show, and we truly love bringing you guys content like this. This is an OG in the game. Alex Martinez. He is a professional paintball player for San Antonio X Factor. He is the owner of San Antonio X Factor, and he is the owner of X Factor Paintball Park in San Antonio. Absolutely dynamite paintball patron, one of the best individuals in the game, heart of gold, and truly knows what it takes to build a championship level organization without having to go out and outsource all the different players and steal players from other teams. He has built it from the ground up multiple times, and it's all through work ethic, character, heart, dedication, and a lot of important things that he talks about. You guys do not want to miss this episode. Listen to it all the way through. If you guys love it, please like, share, follow, subscribe, do all the things to help PTG. And without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game. He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
All right, everybody, let's go. We got Alex Martinez on the PTG show, owner of X Factor Paintball Park and pro paintball team San Antonio X Factor as well. Honored to have you on the show, Alex. How you doing, bud?
I am doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, man. And all-around legend, great guy. Just super stoked to have you on the show because you've done so much in the landscape of paintball and the story of what you've created out of Texas. They even made, a featured film about y'all, the best kids in Texas, that was on Amazon and everything. So it's amazing to have you here and tell your story because it's truly one of the best stories in paintball, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Best Kids in Texas. It started back in 2003.
Cool.
03, baby.
A bunch of little guys that wanted to play paintball. Went and did a little birthday party, and next thing I knew, they dragged me into it.
There we are.
Doesn't matter how old you are, you can play. I was like, what? I ain't playing with these little guys. I'm gonna hurt them. I was like, oh, wait. All of a sudden, it was like 15 kids trying to shoot on me. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a lot of fun.
So how old were you?
It was only a birthday party.
So when was that birthday? What year was that party?
No, it was pretty simple. It was 2002, October 2nd. It's my son's birthday.
And then, well, you're still playing pro paintball. And if I'm not incorrect, you're in your 50s. So it's a pretty amazing accomplishment that you've been able to, get into the game in your 30s and have such a storied career. Because most people are always saying, oh, I'm too old. I can't play. I can't do this. I can't do that. Too much can't. You know what I mean? But you stepped in. And like you said, these youngsters were trying to shoot you up and play some paintball. And you were like, let's go. Let's have some fun, Yeah,
for sure. Well, it's that competitive edge. I've always played sports since I was growing up, ever since 7 years old. I played baseball all through high school and college. So it was just, I loved it. I mean, it came into my life when it was supposed to. And that's how I look at it. Yeah, it would have been great to have been able to play at 20 years old. Mm-hmm. But honestly, the way paintball is and the expense that it has, it fell into my life in my 30s. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Can you well, I was allowed to grow my business. Mm-hmm. And then, paintball came into my life with my sons, and we just grew with it and had a blast. We're still having a blast.
Yeah, you are.
For sure.
And can you kind of walk us through the early days of, your history and just not just paintball, but sports and like what that looked like growing up and playing, the different sports that you were?
Well, I played a little football in high school, but it was all about baseball as a kid. My dad was a big influence in my life as far as sports goes and playing baseball. It was just a big part of Texas for us. Mm-hmm. Baseball was the biggest thing. Absolutely. And it's a little safer than football. You kind of keep your knees in check. So, and I was, I wasn't too bad. I was pretty good at it, and it helped me get a baseball scholarship. So, amazing. The biggest thing, I'll tell you one thing though. I remember there was a time there in my life that I was debating whether I wanted to play ball or not. And my dad put it to me real simple. He goes, oh no, you're going to play whether you like it or not. This stuff about taking a little break, it ain't going to work. You're going to play. And about maybe 2 games into it, I was like, thanks for bringing me back, Pops.
Yeah.
It's in your heart. Sometimes we get in these little off seasons and you're kind of like, found other things to do. And then you kind of just start playing again. It's in your heart. You gotta have it.
What a legend. Sure. And what was his name? What was your dad's name?
Well, it's in Spanish. His name's Eliseo, but they would call him Alex. For short, and that's how my name came out of that. So
absolute legend.
Alex out of Eliseo. So yeah,
Amazing, man.
yeah. I went from high school, you know, all these little leagues and all these little pony leagues and stuff like that, into select ball and into high school ball, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get a little baseball scholarship. Took me to Shriner College in Kerrville, Texas. Played ball there for a couple of years. So
And
yeah,
the Astros have been kicking butt. Shout out to Texas baseball.
Yeah,
You know,
dude, they're solid. Them and the
Yeah.
Rangers. I love the
Yep.
Rangers.
They had a little bit of a scandal one of the
Yeah, they
years.
did.
A little bit of a scandal. I'm
sometimes
finally
those scandals are part of the game.
they can be, certainly. I was part of a team. Shout out to Johnny Perchek. You probably remember this, Alex, back
Yes,
in
of course.
2008, where we call him Bird Dog now. That's his nickname, full-time nickname, because in one of the matches he was watching us play, but he would stand along the sideline based on where the person at the 50 snake was.
Yeah, of course.
On the record, I wanted nothing to do with this. I thought it was such a silly idea. I was like, how do we not know when they're in the snake? Like, it's pretty easy to tell. And two, it's like really not worth it. But some of the older guys on the team kind of bullied us into it, and we got caught. We had to play with 6 guys the next tournament, which was pretty funny. But yeah, scandals happen.
Yeah, it's all part of the game.
Yeah,
Everybody has them here and there.
Dude.
Yeah,
it only works when you don't get caught, right?
Yeah.
The episode when we had Johnny Perchek on and he was telling that story is hilarious.
Hilarious,
so
dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I guess the Padres are finally good, so kind of cool. I was never really into baseball growing up. It was like the one sport that I just didn't get into. I was always into more alternative sports, I guess. I did Taekwondo when I was a kid, wrestled in high school, and was always kind of playing paintball, and paintball just took, full precedence by the time I was like 14 years old. It was the only thing I wanted to do. I quit pretty much everything else. So as far as watching sports, has always kind of been football, basketball, and now I'm kind of getting into baseball. We just never had any, sort of good team. So there was no real reason to be interested in it, I guess.
I'm all about sports. Anything sports, I don't mind watching for sure.
Yeah.
Favorite sport?
Baseball, probably. Football would be the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this college game last night was pretty cool too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah, the Aztecs. I feel like they never had a chance, but watching that game, you really see the difference. And it's the same thing in paintball, right? I imagine it's kind of, it's like semi-pro to pro. Watching the difference in their offensive ability last night. These are the 2 best college teams, in the nation right now. And it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Very sloppy, lots of turnovers, a lot of bad shots, like just bad decision-making, in my opinion, still a great game. It was really, really fun to watch SDSU kind of, go on their little run. UConn is tremendous, but yeah, seeing the difference between them and the pros is pretty wild.
Oh yeah. It's all a mental game at that stage.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
it's been some fun
now, man. It's in my heart, and it's all we want to do. I mean, when we got started, we were playing. There's a place out here called Paintball Nights, and we would go out there on Friday nights. They're only open at night till midnight. And
Nice.
we would go play there on Friday night. Then we go to another field Saturday morning to Predator, play there on Saturday, take the boys across town, have lunch, and go to Paintball Nights in the evening. And we did that like 4 days out of the week, all weekend. That's all we did, play paintball, play ball. And we just had a blast with it.
You got hooked.
Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and then run drills during the week. So,
Dude, that's amazing.
All in.
Do the boys still play at all?
Actually, unfortunately, my sons don't play.
Yeah.
They just, when my oldest, he's the one that kind of started everything. And, we did here locally, I helped run the team for Paintball Nights, and it was me and my son and a few others. And then there was a little team called Crisis, and that was the Cohen brothers. It was Brett and Ryan Cohen.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so we're all doing these local events everywhere, and if they weren't winning, we were winning. It was just back and forth all season long. And at the end of the season, Brett Cohen came up to me one day and says, "Hey, Al, let's go to World Cup." 2003, he decides we're going to go to World Cup. And I was like, "What's World Cup?" And he goes, "Oh, it's national stuff. It's cool stuff." I was like, "All right, y'all got to show me videos." So they started showing me all these videos, dynasty stuff, and all these cool strange and all these cool teams. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I was like, all right, let's look into it. So we signed up for 10 man, you know, and the truth is that they couldn't rent a car. That's why they needed me, to be honest. But they're like, yeah, let's go do this 10 man. And, you know, these boys are 15, 13. My son was 13. Ryan Coleman was 13. Brett was like 16 years old. Todd Morrow. Derek Jordan was on there, Cody Bayless. And we're like, all right, cool. And we all looked up to Colt Roberts because at that point he already had been playing for Texas Storms and he'd been on the Underdogs. And so he'd been around and they always looked up to, for, you know, Colt. And so we go to, you know, go play 10 man, 2003 World Cup. And it was just amazing. I mean, we looked around, it's like, holy shit, there's hundreds of people, I mean, thousands of people. It was just cool shit.
At that time, it was crazy how big it was. There were so many huge vendors everywhere. It was insane.
I mean, they had like 3 rows of vendors, and you'd walk shoulder to shoulder. It was just a blast. It was an experience for all of us. And we just, once, you know, we went and played it. It's so funny. Those 70-something teams, I think we didn't win. I think we tied one. And that was on a team that Colt actually jumped on. You know, kind of sneaked in to play with us. And I think we tied one match, and we still came out like 73rd out of 76 teams after we lost everything. I was like, what? How did this happen? But it was an experience, and we had a blast.
Yeah.
So, and that's the first time we saw, that's when Dynasty played Strange. That's when they brought that new format for X-Ball. And we saw that go down and all that great stuff. And the boys were having a blast, and my son had a blast. So it's just, that's really how I got started. On the way back on the flight, my son's like, Dad, I really want to do this. And he's 13 years old. And I'm like, this is cool. I said, but here's the deal. If we're going to do this, school's number one thing. You got to do good in school. And we got to figure out which kids can actually do this, you know. And I told him that he couldn't really take anybody from Crisis because that was their own little team. But next thing I knew, they were all in. They were like, no, we want to do national events. Let's all go. Let's just all do this. So crazy enough, man, the next season, because all I told him, so look, I don't know much about paintball, but I can tell you this, I know how to run basic drills, you know, I know how to work out. So we're going to do all these things. You just run drills. You know, I would turn to Colt Roberts to help us out, you know, to give us, you know, more knowledge about the game and things. At least me, for sure. Because the kids, they wouldn't scout. They wouldn't walk fields. They wouldn't do anything. They'd be like, okay, Al, what do we do? I'm like, okay, you do this. You shoot here. You do this, you know. So it just kind of worked out. But, yeah, I mean, that's how it got started. It just my son on the way back just says, Dad, I want to do this. And I was like, all right, let's do this, man.
Yeah, I think I was there at that World Cup. That was my first World Cup as well, because I remember them debuting the X-Ball, and everyone was riding golf carts around. They would like rent out golf carts at that time. So everyone had golf carts, and it was a spectacle. I'll never forget that World Cup. And I love what you said about also, you know, if your sons were going to play paintball, education comes first. And that really hit home with me because when I was flying out there with my dad, I was, you know, 12 years old or 13 years old. I guess I was 12 because I was still on Twisted at that time. And that was number one. You had to get good grades. So on the plane and in the hotels, I would tell my teachers, I'm taking all my homework with me. They would help me out because they wanted me to have a good time and stuff and compete in these tournaments. So they would help me get all my homework. And I would crush all my homework on the flights and at the hotel and then play the events and then come back, turn it in. But that is the cornerstone for the youngsters, you know, is you got to keep that education dialed in as well. It's pertinent. You have to.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the deal, I set ground rules on the team early on because I straight up told them, I said, look, guys, you're going to have free paintball. And back then it just wasn't, you know, it just wasn't heard of, you know, to play divisional. I said, you get to play for free. You get to run all the drills you want. Everything's covered, right? Because, you know, truly I was doing it for my son. And I worked out something with that park paintball nights that, you know, I did a lot of work for him and things like that. And so we swapped out paint and instead of labor costs, we had all the paint that we needed.
There we go.
The ground rules for everybody is either you're going to school, doing good, and if I get a report from your parents that you're not, then you can't be on the team, or you're going to get suspended for a bit. And the other one is if you're not going to school, then you're working. So it's one of the two where you can't be on this team.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get drugs and other issues. I get it. But, you know, this team, that's what it was built on, you know, just hard work and, you know, understanding what comes out first in life. And I would make it clear to them that, you know, what I have in my life and what I've done in construction has nothing to do with paintball. So what you see in my life, it didn't come from paintball. You know, a lot of guys will have this idea of, oh, look at this, look at that, look what they have in this paintball. Paintball said, no. This other stuff needs to work first for you to be able to play paintball.
Work ethic. You got the work ethic,
100%.
man. And I do want to dive into, you know, what you do as well, because you've crushed it in the construction field and absolutely dominated. Even the field has seen the benefits because the field is tremendous and has some amazing courses that players can play. If you're in the Texas area and you haven't gone to X Factor Paintball Park, what are you waiting for? Get out there and check this field out because it's amazing. So that is like the beginning of the story is, you know, the boys had the birthday party. They were like, yo, you never heard of World Cup? Boom, you guys go to World Cup. And then it leads into you guys starting this team and starting the national journey, I guess, is what it is, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
No, that's how, you know, it was crazy enough that, you know, obviously the off season is November, December, January, February. So when we came back home, we said, okay, we're going to run drills every weekend. And we started running drills as a team. And so we signed up the next year, the following season, I think it was Division 5, whatever it was, X-Ball. We decided to go X-Ball because they still had 10-man, but that's when it was kind of falling off.
Back then, it must have been Division 3. I think that was the lowest division they had back then.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it was crazy enough. So we lost, I won't forget, it was San Bernardino, California.
Yeah.
We had that first event there. And so we go in and we play against a team called East Coast Fury. And we lose to them like 10-4 or something like that. And that's when the days where you got thrown in a losing bracket. So you had to win yourself out of it. The next thing I knew, and crazy enough, we were using one of the, what was it, paintball, the Dynasty ball.
Oh, yeah. Great American
so
Paintball.
We were carrying that paintball back and forth because there wasn't, we didn't have a trucks for it. So we were carrying it back and forth. I won't ever forget that. But man, we got thrown in a loser's bracket, and Cole Roberts came up to us and told the boys, I said, look, y'all need to snap out of this. I know y'all can do this. So we get thrown in a loser's bracket and we go and we win the first one, win again. We're knocking teams out. We don't even know what's going on. We're just playing, knocking teams out. Next thing I know, the boys were like, ow, we're playing on Sunday. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, that's when, I think we had like 5 matches on Saturday to win out. You know, it's just a blast.
Cool. Yeah.
And then we go into Sunday and coach like, I'm going to help y'all. I'm going to help y'all coach. And I'm like, cool. And a bunch of parents, which was very cool. A bunch of parents actually flew in that night. You know, like the Cohen's parents came in that night. A couple other parents came in that night to come watch the boys play because we've never been at that level to get up that high. And so they flew in that same night and watched us play. And then we go into the matches and we beat one team, and then we go in and we play. All of a sudden, we're playing against East Coast Fury again for the first place. The team that we lost to go in. The very beginning, they threw us in the losers bracket. And Cole Robert was helping us coach. And man, Derek Jordan was being a beast that day. I'll never forget. He just was playing lights out. And next thing I know, man, we beat them boys up pretty good, 10-4, and won the event. It was my first event. And I was like, this team's actually not bad. So we had a blast. It was good times, man.
That's going to keep you coming back for sure.
Yeah, that's what kept us going. We knew we wanted to play the whole season. We had committed for the season. We just didn't know what we could do. And once, it was like a light switch. It's hard to explain for me. It's, you know, people need to understand that. I just saw a switch. Once they actually, you know, it's that competitive edge of where all of a sudden they won one match. And then they understood like, hey, we can do this. And it was like a switch. Their confidence skyrocketed. And it was just there was no way they were going to stop these boys.
Yeah.
No team could have stopped them that day.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. It was great. We had a blast.
That foundation does a lot for the future of the team too. I really believe that, and the players. It it breeds a winning culture. Learning how to win is one of the hardest things to do, I think. You know, you can go through the motions and do all the drills and all the things and have all the skills, but until you really learn how to win, it becomes very difficult. It's difficult to win. Winning is its own skill, you know, in any sport, any game. So to have that success really early, I think probably really helped the trajectory of the team.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like you said, you know, winning is, you know, to get to the top, you got to win. Once you win, you got to learn how to stay there.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy because everybody wants to knock you off. But,
and then you got to learn how to get back to it too. You know, like that's a thing as well. You know, because you will get knocked off certainly at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, winning breeds winning. I mean, it's just, you win, you just want it more and more and more. So, yes, there's other teams out there that, you know, they're out to hunt. You know, they're going to knock you off. And when they do, you just got to fight through it. You got to come back. For me, there's no option. It's like, we're here to win. You know, you got to take everything in life to win. You know, everything else for me, somewhat, it's an excuse. Because it's not, for me, it's not where I can't. Like you said, Tyler, earlier, it's never I can't. It should be I can. You know, for me, and I preach this to my boys and the guys on the team now. For me, it is I can, I will, and I must. It's just that simple. You know, you can, you will, impose your will, and you must. And what's your must for? It's for your teammates. I must win. It's just the way it is.
I love that.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, it's simple and it's concise, and it's like you said, just don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just keep it simple, know the pathway, and set the tone with the right verbiage, you know, like choose words that are going to empower you, choose thinking that's going to empower you. And that's infectious for everyone around you. And you hope that everyone wants to, you know, buy into, like we talk about, the culture, and then that breeds that winning culture. And that's obviously what happened out there at that event in San Bernardino. Is everybody bought in. I don't know if it was Colt or whoever, you know, but someone said something and everybody bought in, and they were like, okay, this is the frequency. This is where we're going. And they started winning all the way. And then storybook ending, you meet the same team that knocked you out and then take them down.
It was a blast. But you're right, right? It's that believe, right? You got to believe, you know, in each other, not just in each other, but in yourself. You know, when you lack confidence, just a tad hesitation of split second could lose you a point. But you got to believe in yourself. You know, it's just that will. You got to want it. You got. For me, it's champions. You know, you're a winner. You're a winner. You know, you do everything you can to win.
Yeah.
So believe in yourself 100%.
Yeah, that mindset is so powerful because it's not just in sports. It's truly in everything you do in life. You know, that mindset gets you to the top of whatever it is you're doing. You know, if it's business or relationship, you could apply the same philosophies that will make you a good athlete to making you a good businessman or a good partner, you know, a good father. You know, it's being diligent with the work and being obsessed with it and not taking failure as as an option. It's not an option. It's temporary, and you figure out a way out of it, you know? I absolutely love that mindset. So Al, this was in 2004, you said. So in 2005, you guys bumped up to Division 2. Oh, 2003. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2004, we won out. We actually won the series that year.
Okay.
There we go.
The following year, we did another year. What we did, actually, this is what we did. So I saw 2003, we won the series. 2004, we won the series. And I saw that there was a big bottleneck in Division 2, where there was just like a ton of teams in that bracket, you know. And then I saw that Division 1, there was like 20 or 30 teams versus 70, 80 teams in Division 2. So what I did, and one of the biggest things was Colt Roberts he was able to play with us in Division 1, but not in Division 2. Right. So I decided to take these boys because it was, you know, I looked at it like, if we win the series, we won the series and we won like 3 events and took a second and a third or something. So I knew that if we went Division 2, we would be in that upper tier, but not winning. So I looked at it, well, let's just put our backs against the wall and work hard and skip Division II and go straight to Division I.
There we
So
go.
we skipped Division II, and it was able to bring Roque Roberts into the team to give us a little more maturity. And then we worked extra hard. And honestly, straight up, we won the division that year.
Yo.
The first year?
The very first year.
So then,
It's crazy.
Al, sorry, I'm just
That's
trying to work
crazy.
around. I'm just trying to work around my timeline because I remember
Yeah.
on Aftermath, our first season
Yeah.
in Division III was 2005, and then we also skipped Division II, and in 2006 is when we bumped up to Division I, and that's when I felt like we had played you guys, and you guys kicked our butts one of the events. Does that sound right? Or because
Well,
you guys
I know
were
that-
pro 2006.
No, I'm not going to be able to answer when we went pro because I
Okay.
don't remember when we went pro. But remember, it was Kansas City when they had that indoor arena thing.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that was 7, man.
That was in and that was in 2007.
Okay, 2007. No, we were already. Well,
I think you guys
it's
were
been a
pro
long
and
season. Yeah, it's been a long. I'm not sure
Yeah.
when we went pro. I know we got invited up. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
We got called in the middle of the season. So I
Okay,
know
so it
there's
was 06. That's when it was, and it was Chicago 2006, I believe.
Yeah, because I know this Division I, we won 1 year, we won the series, right?
Yeah.
And then we went Division I again because I didn't think we were ready. We went
Right.
Division I, we won the first event, and then we took like a 3rd or 5th or something. And I noticed that the boys weren't as challenged and they weren't as motivated. And I could see us kind of tapering off a little bit. And then we went practice Philly Americans. And I don't remember which team was having problems that couldn't play pro. But we got a phone call from Lane back in the day at PSP. He called me and he says, "Hey, Al, would you consider going pro?" I said, it's in the middle of the season. And he goes, "Yeah, but we're having issues with one team. Might not be able to play." And I was like, okay. And back then it was when we would get seated, one played 16 and second would play 15 and so forth and so forth. And I always, we watched a lot of paintball, so I knew the Russians were number one back then. So I really gave it a lot of thought. But the biggest thing for this team, X Factor and the boys, was that their dream was to go pro. That was their dream.
Mm.
So here I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, so I think they're not ready, but okay, I get it. Well, let's make them ready.
Yeah.
Let's
Hell
make
yeah.
them ready. Let's just throw them in the fire, see what happens.
Yeah.
Either they fall out or they don't. Either they step up or they don't.
Yep.
And that's my mindset. You're going to step up, fight back, fight back, fight all the way through it.
Mm-hmm.
So we get invited up and, I knew the first thing, it was crazy. So number one seed's the Russians and we're playing against them. So we're going to play against the Russians. And I won't ever forget, we actually picked up Andy Capcott.
Yeah.
Andy was playing with us that season. And so we go out there and we're like, okay, first match. Okay, we're cool. We're playing the best team in the world right now and all this other stuff. I said, look, let's figure this out and see where we're at. So we step out in the field and we win a point, first point. And we're like, holy shit, we just fucking scored a point. And we go back out there and we're like, okay, cool. So we go back out there and we score another point. And I'm like, what? We scored 2 points against the Russians, number one team in the world. Here we are. I'm like,
Damn.
shit. Here in my mind, we're like, all the boys are all getting fired up and we're like, hey, we could win this event. We're like, oh yeah. So, back then there was a half to, 20-minute halves and things like that. So I think we scored another point. And man, they just turned it up on us and they beat us. They beat our butts, man, for sure. I think it was we lost 16-3 or something. I'm not gonna lie.
But there's a lot to
it
take
was a
away from
great
those 3
experience.
points, though. Yeah, there was some
Yeah.
execution that happened in those 3 points for the first time. Young kids getting your feet wet against the best team in the world at the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. But what it did, it created, that where they had confidence, understanding that, hey, we can play. We can play with these guys. We scored a point. We scored another point. Now we just got to kind of figure out how to go through the whole thing and get this process right.
I love
So-
that so much that you just took them and you said, this is where we're headed. And it sounds like, you've had a grandiose vision for the culture of the team since the early days, and it carries into today as well. You know, you have an amazing organization that you run currently, and it all stems from this framework of thinking that has carried on down the line from those days. And I think it's really commendable that even, you know, D2 to D1, and then when you get put on the spot and they ask you go pro, and you say, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna step up. And I just think it says a lot
D3 to
about.
D1. They
Oh, I'm
skipped
sorry.
D2. Yeah,
That's right.
D2.
D3 to
they
D1.
said
Yeah.
we ain't got time for D2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
No, it's
Yeah,
been
that's
it's
not-
been a great ride so far. I mean, I just like to tell the boys, you know, all we have is memories. Let's just enjoy every moment. You know.
Yeah.
And it is. I mean, there's hard work to it. I get it. You know, and then there is a fine line. I hate to put it out there, but there's a fine line where this somewhat becomes a job. You know, the word pro is what it is, right? So we're committed, and there's a lot of work to it. A lot of people don't understand what it takes to be at this level. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sure, and I know you guys are out there drilling and grinding. So are we. You know,
Mhm.
people don't understand the sacrifices that we have to do to play this level. You know,
Yeah,
it could
100%.
be 2-3 days out of the week, work out 2-3 days out of the week, 4 days out of the week, run your drills over the weekend. You know, spend a lot of time and effort around paintball, watching paintball, learning paintball, and just learning the game. You know, there's a lot of sacrifice to it.
I think what makes that sacrifice so special and different than other sports as well is in other sports, that sacrifice can mean you're going to get a great return. The ROI makes sense. You know, you could sacrifice as many hours during the week because you're confident that it could pay off and you're going to create a great return from sports. Paintball's not that way. So the sacrifice you're making is like truly for your team, for the ability or opportunity to win. It's to be the best, you know, and you do it knowing that you're not going to get a great monetary return. You still have to go to your job outside of paintball or do all the work within the game that doesn't really have anything to do with competing, but it's what pays the bills, you know? So that sacrifice is even extra than having a job. It's like working overtime and being happy working overtime, you know? That's what I think makes it so unique. And I think that's why paintball players really have this special bond with one another. You know, you meet another paintball player in the airport, doesn't matter what division any of you play, but if you're going to the same paintball tournament, you guys are friends, you know, like that's just the way it's always been. It's a great community we have. And I think part of it is because of that sacrifice. You know, it's a unique sacrifice that we make as players.
100%. I mean, it's the love of the sport, right? We love the sport.
Yeah.
And the people all that are around us are great people, you know? So I mean, if you count us up, right? I mean, there's 5,000 players just in one area at a little at a time throughout all the U.S. You count all the states. It's a limited amount. I mean, it's not very many. So yeah, it's a small community, but we love each other.
And Texas paintball is booming. There's so much paintball going on in Texas right now.
Well, I think honestly, straight up, you know, it was just, I understand. I mean, I'll be humble about this, but I understand it had a lot to do with it. The Team X Factor has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Greg Pauly coming into Dallas now in Texas has a lot to do with it. You know, between, you know, Dallas and Greg's teams and things that he had going on over there with us.
Totally.
Here with X Factor, I mean, we've grown the sport. Now, you know, Houston Heat, you know, they're involved, and you know, Texas has come up a long way. I mean, when we first got started, it was all about California, you know, and then it was all West Coast, you know, and I was always, you know, for me early on, it was all about just Texas players, that I wanted just Texas players. You know, we wanted to represent our hometown and where we're from and just make it all homegrown. And I wanted, you know, once we created the park and things like that, I've always wanted to be able to grow players and bring them up through the ranks, and having this dream of maybe one day playing on X Factor. So it's really in our heart to be here and do what we can for Texas. And I think having all that between me and Greg and, you know, now Houston Heat and their field is coming up and things like that. I mean, it grows, you know, it just takes off, and younger players see us playing and we represent correctly and then represent the sport. Kids want to play it, you know?
Yeah.
So we got to understand that we're mentors. I mean, that's what we are, you know, and especially in my position, you know, you know, I feel like I'm a father figure for a lot of guys, but I remember how it is. Young men need to turn into older men, and sometimes they're going to ask for advice. And as older guys that've been around and have their shit together need to help. Kind of give people direction. Keep everybody
Absolutely.
moving. It's good for us, all of us.
And Texas is like its own country. It's so big, in the landscape of America.
It was a country, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, for sure. No, it's
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of teams out of everywhere, from Valley to, Paso to Dallas to everywhere. It's just growing in Texas.
Yeah, and I do want to ask how the field came about, because I know that you had the team that you nurtured in the early years coming up through divisional paintball, and then how did the pro experience and the the pro team and the field start to come about?
Well, really what happened was, back in the day, there wasn't much money to win, right? It was always about gift certificates. In our local events here, they would give us gift certificates. So it was kind of hard to kind of flip them. It was kind of difficult. You never really got your money out of it, if that makes sense. So early on, we actually had a paintball store. We had a store early on, and there was a struggling field up on IH-35. There was a field, and he was struggling. So one day he approached me and he said, "Hey, Al, do you want to take over this park?" And it was called Maximum Paintball. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." It was the realm, and we called it Maximum Paintball. I said, "Yeah, let me consider it." And we needed a place to practice. So, because we were kind of pulling away from paintball nights, and some of the guys like the Odells and guys like that were driving from Dallas. So, this field was about an hour closer to them and things like that. And it was just a little easier to get to. So I was like, okay, we'll split it. We're driving up an hour and a half, 2 hours. They're driving down 2.5 hours. So we started practicing. I went ahead and took over the lease, gave this guy a little money, and he got out of the picture. And so we started running this park. Well, the issue was that, I'm all in construction, and that's what I do for a living. So I actually had some guy who was running the park. And so he's.
It looks as though.
Yeah. He wasn't as motivated as he should be to help run the park,
Al, real quick, we lost you for a second. Did something happen on your end? Did you get a pop-up or something?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, cool. As long as it wasn't the headphone fiasco, then we're good. We're good to keep rolling.
No, I'm good. It was a phone call.
Awesome.
So
so we lost 5 seconds, but all good.
Yeah. No, so I jumped into this field, and then we start, holding on to that field. And then a couple of years into it, we were leasing the property, and I kept telling this guy I wanted to buy the property. So he kind of kept pushing me off. And then, I'm sure, here's my life story, right? So unfortunately, my marriage was kind of not doing well. And I started having problems, and we started looking, we went through a divorce. So there's a rough time in my life there that I was just like, here's paintball, and then now I'm getting a divorce, and my boys, it's just tough time. I'm a family man, so it wasn't something that I wanted to see happen, but unfortunately it just didn't work out for me. So once all that stuff was over with, it was done, I kind of made up my mind, either I'm going to make this paintball thing work, where it kind of helps sustain itself, or I'm out, and I just kind of started looking around, and these guys didn't want to sell the property. And God blessed me enough that I bumped into this property here in San Antonio. And so I spoke to the owners and got it all worked out, and bought the piece of property. It's 16 acres. The park runs on 13 acres. We got another 4 acres in the back, 3 acres in the back that we haven't done anything with. So I was just all in. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this park, and I'm going to do everything I've seen. The cool things that we've traveled and seen other parks. So I saw a lot of things that Texas doesn't have. We didn't have structures and buildings and cool stuff that I seen like at, Boston Paintball and all these other cool places that I've been to, So I was like, well, if I bring this back home, build the Alamo. I built the Alamo, You know, we brought in some helicopters and we brought in some aircrafts and, you know, threw them in there, called the POW camp, you know, and things that I've seen in other parts that we didn't have. So I was like, man, this is cool. And the turf, straight up, is Philly, you know, American Phillies. You know, when we played on their turf field, I was like, man, we got to do this.
Yeah.
You know, keeps us safe. It lets me play a lot longer because it's a little easier on the body, you know. So I was like, yeah, this would be great. So I decided to do turf fields and go all out on structures. And, you know, we have 4 corners. We got some towers in there in the woods and stuff. And the kids just ate it up. Well, as soon as they figured out that we were putting in a park and we started advertising and putting it out there, it was just like a hit. You know, everybody loves the park.
You have one of the best. Yeah, you have one of the best paintball parks in the entire world. And I've been to a lot of paintball parks all over the world, pretty much every single continent outside of Antarctica. Haven't been there yet. Seems like it's pretty hard to go there. I don't think they have paintball out there, but I truly mean it. Alex, you run an amazing facility, and most of it is the hospitality and care. You could tell that there's so much care put into those fields, specifically the tournament fields. You know, it's rare that you have, you know, we practiced you guys before World Cup last year, and it was one of the greatest practices simply because of the facility that you have. You know, you're able to run real matches. It's professional. The turf is excellent. And then you have amazing barbecue for the guests afterwards. Like it's truly a treat to come to X Factor Paintball Park. So if you guys are in the area and you're listening to this, you need to go check it out for sure if you have not already. Although I'm pretty sure all the listeners have already been there and agree at how amazing it is.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate that for sure.
Oh, it's the best.
I mean, honestly, it gets back to it takes a team.
Competition.
I mean,
well,
I got good people in place. You know, I got Tiger, I got Jeff that helps out. You know, we have a good staff. So it's, you know, and you just kind of it's a team, and we just keep working at it. You know, and
team ball
for me is you know, you just got to be so. I just tell everybody it's so much easier to be nice. Isn't that just so simple? Just be nice. You know,
that's so true.
Just keep it simple.
That is so
I love
true.
that. I love that.
So true.
What year did the park open?
2010.
2010. Nice.
Right. Yeah,
so coming up
in August of 2010, because I got divorced January 2010.
But you had the old park was, when did the old park open?
The old park opened probably 2006 or 7, somewhere in there.
Okay. Yeah, I remember coming out.
We were there 3 or 4 years. That time.
Yeah,
we were there.
yeah.
And then I decided, you know, once we went through all this, you know, during my, you know, there was 2009. I didn't play. I couldn't play. You know, and I won't ever forget what Grayson called it, the dark ages. Grayson Golf. It's the dark ages. I'm like, cool, whatever. Because the guys, you know, they were kind of left alone. You know, their leader was gone. You know, so they were getting these mediocre matches, and you know, they, you know, it kind of fell off. And you know, we lost Archie. You know, mid-season, we lost Ryan Cohen went on. You know, Devin went on somewhere else. The guys were kind of falling apart. And crazy enough, I had a back surgery, somewhat an emergency back surgery, because I broke a disc and I wasn't aware of it.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
Yeah, I broke a disc, you know, and I couldn't, you know, got to the point where I couldn't even walk because my legs were tingling so bad. And I did it playing basketball, of all things.
Maybe that's why.
It's right off, broke it right off.
So real quick, Alex, I gotta interject right there because we have a Discord. It's like a online chat room for the PTG supporters, and they have a lot of guest questions. Tons of people are very excited that you're on, and they all have some questions for you. And one of the questions, and I wasn't really sure, I was like, that's an odd question, but now it makes sense. He knows something I don't know. His question is, Alex, do you think you could beat Marcelo in a game of 21? If so, what would be your key to victory? My man.
Actually, you know, honestly, the key is to stay focused and stay close. Stay close around that edge, right? Stay in the paint. If I stay in the paint, I'll be all right.
Stay close to the rim.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. You're going to have to come out to the 3 and guard me. That's where I shoot from.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll let you go take a couple shots from out there. You got to hit them first.
You don't want to let me take those shots. I promise you that.
Here we go. No, back in the day, we played ball, man. I love playing any sports, but basketball was one of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
that's
much
what
Al,
fun.
you
man.
need to get an outdoor hoop put up at X Factor Paintball Park. That'd be sweet.
shoot.
That'd be
Okay, now hey,
sweet.
I'm
Little
gonna do it
outdoor
just for
hoop.
you. I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice. You know we're gonna be back this year for sure. We're coming
yeah,
back.
for
So
sure. We're gonna do
yeah,
this.
awesome.
Dude, he's
Yeah.
gonna
I
school
love
you.
that. Oh, you know what? I will always bow down to the OGs. I'll always
Yeah,
bow
man.
down to the OGs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
the park is just coming up, and it's been so much fun to train out there. As we all know, you have great practices, great community. Even like just all the divisional players, everyone that goes out to the park is just great people, and they're all out there for developing and honing in on their craft that they all love and wanting to push each other and become better. And it's a really good energy that you guys have out at X Factor Paintball Park with all the divisional and of course the pro players as well.
Yeah, no, the community's great. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, if you just keep it simple, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we cater to the people big time. You know, and just tell them, hey, the easiest way to anything is just to be nice. You know, so
Yeah.
it works for us, and we have a great program with all the teams and the rec side, and we do cool stuff. You know, I encourage paintball for little guys and girls and grown parents and grandmas
Yeah.
and grandpas, and the way we have it set up is that I'm big on 50 cal. I'm big on 50 cal because I knew two things
I think
about
it's
paintball.
great,
I've always
yeah.
known, one, it's dirty, and two, it hurts, right? And everybody's level of hurts is different. I get it. You know, my level might be much more tolerant than most people, and I'm cool with it. You know, but so I thought, well, shoot, we can control dirty, clean the park, do what we're supposed to. Let's help this, you know, on the other side, you know, because I remember seeing my son, you know, he had welts. I mean, it's just the way it is, right? Playing ball, I get it. But we want to bring this community up, and I always felt, well, the best way to do it is to change it a little bit. So, like all our private parties, corporate parties, first timers, all that stuff, we put them all in 50 cal. We bring our guns down to
Awesome.
270, 260, put them in a vest, have these little 8-year-olds now running around playing paintball, you know, getting shot at 250 with a smaller ball. They're having a blast. You know,
Absolutely.
I don't see children or little guys or little girls crying. So it would break my heart when I would see them coming off. You know, here's this guy that's 23 years old, gun ho, you know, wanting to run down little kids, 10 years old, you know, and the little guy's coming off crying. Well, we lost that guy. You know,
To this day-
he's never going to come back.
Yeah.
So
To
we
this day,
changed
I'll
our
never-
system.
I'll never forget when I was like 11 years old. I was playing in the woods with my dad, my brother, and my brother's 2 kids. And I was in one of the back, like it was this big open mixture of like mounds and woods ball. You know, this is 2001 maybe. So airball like wasn't even really a thing at this point. And I got bunkered in walk-on play. This is walk-on play. I don't even think you're allowed to bunker people. I get bunkered by somebody that had this guy had a dark angel. And he comes around and he shoots me in the neck. And I, hands in the air, like, you know, kind of freak out. Oh, it hurt so bad. The guy felt so bad. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't remember the whole conversation, but he felt so bad. He like kind of stuck by me. And the next game, he let me use his gun for a whole game.
Yeah.
I fell in love with that thing. Cause at the time I had like a Spider TL, you know, it was like dink, 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 you know, bad paint and everything. And I shot this Dark Angel and it was crazy how fast and nice this thing shot. It was amazing. So that was probably one of the anomalies, one of the, you know, times where the kid does come back and play, but it hurt so bad. I just couldn't believe that this happened to me. You know, it's hilarious. It's like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
see, that's what we're trying to control because we do want all
Totally.
these little guys to come
Yeah.
back. That's what's going to
Yeah.
help grow the sport.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
the next generation. You know, we just got to get them out of the rec side, maybe into the tournament side. But it's growth, right? We start them at 50 cal. It's just like baseball. I look at it like pee-wee ball. You know, it's T-ball first, and then soft pitch, and then coach pitch, and then you go on at the next levels. I think that's what paintball needs to do. You know, that's why I'm down with this, you know, jelly ball,
Yeah.
Nerf guns. I
Totally.
think that's the route, you know.
Absolutely.
Start 'em off at 7 years old.
Mhm.
You know, kind of grow them into the sport and then understanding what it takes to be there.
Yeah.
Any other sport, you can start at a young age. It gets ingrained in the DNA at a young age.
Yeah. So we're big on 50 cal. We try to put their first experiences in 50 cal, and they have a blast. And they come back. It's great for business, right?
Yeah.
Have them come back.
Yeah, that's it. You need them not crying and not wanting to, quit and go home and say, I'm done with this. You want that customer to also enjoy their experience. So it helps in that regard. And, if you do have the jelly ball at your field, the ROI on that is insane. You can grow all these little gellets and rent out jelly guns, the gel strike and all that, and have them running around and playing with these. Then you can have your 5 to 8-year-old market, and then you have your 50 cals that are like the 9 to 12-year-old market. And then after that, they can start shooting the real deal. But it's really cool to see that we've grown in such tremendous ways in the last, couple of years with the gellets. And then obviously 50 cal was a big development at its time, but it's really come a long way from, getting smoked in the neck with the angel and having that be the only option.
You know what's funny though is that might have like deeply ingrained something that made me much better at surviving. Like now, like I don't get bunkered very often, and I'm like pretty cautious about getting shot. So maybe it did something. It programmed something that was like, all right, you're gonna have good survivability because that shit hurt.
For sure.
Alex, I got a funny story. When I was a kid, this was like a few years later. So 12, 13 years old, starting to get into the tournament scene. At our local field, all the Ironman guys, the Dynasty guys, Todd Martinez, Dave Williamson, Matty Marshall, Billy Wing, all of them would be out at the local field, and they were super cool. They'd always say, oh, come jump on with us. You can play, like that ultimately is why I am where I am today, is because I fell in love with the scene because of those pros. But I was so scared when we'd go out on that field, 12 years old, playing with these pros. And often I would be the last one alive, and I would look down and I would shoot myself in the foot so I could call myself out. I would shoot myself in the foot so I wouldn't get bunkered, and I would run off, and I'd be like, I'm hit on my foot. And everybody knew it. It's funny. Everyone brings it up to me, today that is, from that era. They're like, we used to always see you shoot yourself in your foot. We would just laugh. Like, it hurts way more to shoot yourself in the foot than to get bunkered.
They get shot. Yeah, that's funny.
Pretty hilarious, Yeah, kids.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dude,
We all got great stories for sure. All of us do. I mean,
of course.
I've seen a lot of paintball. I've seen a lot of guys grow, and just it's amazing to me. And some of the talents like you guys, man, y'all are. I mean, I know, hands down, y'all are great. Just fucking top tier players in the world. And I always used to look at like Oliver back in the day and Greenspan and all these other great players. And I would tell my boys, I'm like, look, watch them. Just watch what they're doing. And if they can do it, that means you can do it. A lot of these kids don't understand. If you just watch paintball and watch these pros, watch their position and what you play and watch your position and see what they're doing. If they do something amazing, you saw it. It could be done. Like, just learn.
Totally.
Yeah, studying the game is so huge. We talked about earlier, the athletic side of doing the drills and making sure that you're going to the gym. It's equally as important to watch that film. Watch, YouTube, watch any paintball videos you can of your favorite players or organizations, or just really good players that maybe they're not, don't have all the notoriety, but they're a phenomenal player. Watch how they work through different dilemmas, or how they crack open doors to different moves or different codes or different ways of becoming more aware. There's so many different layers to paintball that are very, very, very important that you have to break through mentally and be open to the idea of in order to find wins and have success. Yeah. It's a difficult game.
Yes, it is a little bit.
Yeah.
Great players, big moments, just got to bring it in.
That's right. That's it. And it's being in the moment, like you said.
Alex, how do you feel about the direction of the sport right now? You've been around for such a long time, obviously run a very successful team, organization, field. You're entrenched in the industry, as they say. How do you feel about the direction of where we're going?
I wish it was, in my career, I probably won't be able to see it ever go mainstream. I think for it to be mainstream, things are going to have to change a little bit because it is kind of difficult to follow. I really wish and I hope for everybody and all the guys, all these young guys, that one day it does hit mainstream and be in the Olympics one day and all that great stuff. But I do think that the sport needs to change a little bit, maybe the format a little bit. I love the format now. We could streamline it and make it better. I just think they got to get really good at what we're doing. I don't think we're stagnant, but I just think we need to work on trying to find other ways to maybe draw more people to understand the sport. Like if you take a normal person off the field, off the street, to be able to tell them, say, hey, can you understand this sport? I think it's difficult. I think, it's like tennis. When you play one-on-ones, you can see the ball, you see the person, you see the reaction. I personally think if it's ever going to go mainstream, I think it is going to be one-on-ones. Because 5 guys on the field, unless they have these amazing cameras all over the place, it's really hard to follow. Mm-hmm. So for me, I hope the sport grows and just keeps growing and we figure out a way to, find the right format to where it could go mainstream.
Yeah, totally. I think doing a better job of explaining what's going on, and really diving into what happened in a previous point. Split deck makes that really difficult, right? If you can really utilize the 2 minutes in between a match to go over an instant replay, kind of show a slow motion shot from, behind Tyler, connecting on a shot on his opponent and how big of a shot and how not only was it a great shot, but the impact, obviously show the actual impact of the ball, and then the impact that elimination has on the point,
right?
Like what it meant to shoot that player in that moment. It means that this side is now broken and Tyler's able to go down and close the game on that side, having really good commentary from elite level players. And Maddie's fantastic, right? But he hasn't played the game in a really long time. So having someone up there with him, maybe when someone from this era of pros kind of retires, to go up there with Maddie, those two together to really, Maddie does a great job he knows all the players. He does a great job of actually, clearly and concisely commentating move by move, like what's happening. But to have a real tactician up there that understands exactly what's going on, to explain that to the public. And if you could cut to a certain camera in that 2 minutes and really explain it, I think people would be fascinated by it. It's visually stimulating to see slow motion paint coming out of a gun and connect, especially on those, have you seen Tyler's slow motion shot? It's actually against Meter, I think, is one of the super crazy ones from World Cup a few years ago. It's like in slow motion.
No, I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, Alex, it's crazy. Just the aesthetic of it is crazy. Like you show that to any average person. It got millions of views from Rye Guy when he posted on his thing. But any average person that sees that is like, whoa, that looks like insanely high skill. Only this much was showing. And like you predicted where Meter was going to come up, and you shot one ball. And it's crazy, right? So I think there's a lot of great visuals to capture in a 5-on-5 game. We just need to do a better job of explaining it. I know when I was a kid, I didn't enjoy watching football. My dad made me watch football with him every Sunday, but I didn't understand it. As basic as it seems, like 4 downs, or like, why are we going to commercial now? Like, why did we stop? I didn't like football for a long time. Once I started to understand the game and I fell in love with players, then I started to want to watch, and the first team I wanted to watch, it was the Kansas City Chiefs, because my dad's favorite player at that time was Joe Montana, so I was like, we got to watch Joe play, that was it. That was what we wanted to do on Sundays. And I fell in love with players. And to this day, that's how sports are for me. I don't really have favorite teams. I have favorite players, and I like to watch players.
Yep.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
And it is definitely a growing process that we have to navigate with the format, the filming. Yeah. The format is extremely fun. And like you said, if we can capture moments properly and make it digestible to the eye, because I think that's kind of what you're hitting on, is the eyeball can't receive all the information that's going on out there. And there is a lot going on at every single moment in a paintball game. There's 10 players shooting lanes and there's a lot happening, you know, within the first 30 seconds, let's say, and then the game develops and does what it does. But as we progress, if we can find really interesting ways to bring the optics in alignment with the storytelling and all that kind of stuff, you can definitely create some really fun storylines. And we already got, you know, crazy passion and wild teams, lots of fun characters to follow. So that's no problem. It's just making it optically digestible, which is the biggest hurdle that we've seen for paintball. And you're not wrong in saying that, you know, a 1v1 or a 2v2 or even a 3v3 would be more digestible for the eyeball, and being able to consume that and see what's going on. But I'm very excited to see how we navigate the future, because telecom is strong. You know, the cameras are becoming less expensive. The different things that used to be astronomically priced are more reasonable as we move into the future. So hopefully we can, you know, get that optics more digestible for people out there watching, because it's difficult, man. That's a hard chore to tackle there.
Yeah, I mean, we hope for the best, right? That's what we want.
Yeah.
And we want the sport to grow, and we want more people to be watching what's going on.
Absolutely.
We just got to help. We got to figure out how to make it a little easier for everybody to understand.
Mm-hmm. And it's better than, I mean, like, we joke around about it all the time. Like, when I was a kid, you got your ass up off the couch and you went to the paintball field, man. That's how you watched paintball. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
So to be able to have it in your phone, like, I still trip out. I'm like, it's on my phone. Like, I'll be like, I'm watching paintball on my phone. So it's amazing where we're at. And the squad, everybody, Go Sports NXL, is doing a tremendous job. And it's only going to get better. You know, they're working diligently to make sure that the program is digestible and that people are having fun. And we can't wait to roll out. We're going to your neck of the woods here just in a few weeks, Texas, to play a tournament.
Yeah, it's a little change. It'd be really, really good. There's going to be a lot of teams. I mean, there's a lot of Texas teams that are just dying to go to a national event. So a lot of teams are going to sign up for sure.
Oh, it's going to be popping.
Yeah, the weather's going to be great. Promise.
Okay.
I'll be
there we go.
like the last Texas event.
I love that. I love to hear that. I was looking at Round Rock weather today, and it was like, today is 95 degrees with thunderstorms, and then the next 2 days are like 50 degrees with thunderstorms, but then it clears up and it's sunny. It's gonna be warm, and I'm like, that's the weather we're gonna get. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be in the 80s.
Nice.
I'm thinking.
Hydrate. That's all I have to tell you, everybody.
Yeah. I like playing in the heat. I really don't like playing when it's cold. You know, all my old ailments just don't do well. Al, I'm sure you probably like playing in the heat too.
No, I'm right there with you, brother. I live outside.
Yeah.
Being in construction and always playing ball. I mean, so I love the heat.
Hey, Alex, real quick, Alex, speaking of, I'm wearing the Team USA shirt. Obviously, you should be on the master squad. They really needed you this last season. You weren't able to make it. Are you going to make it this year?
I'd love to. I just got to, get invited and go.
Oh, my God. I'm going to talk to Ryan. You're definitely invited because you still got it. The team needs you. The team needs you for sure, 100%. They got beat by like France last year. I was like, how did you let this happen?
I heard and I watched.
Not okay.
No, not okay.
We're about to get Al. You're in there, dude. You are on the squad.
Brother.
You're going.
Let's go.
Yeah,
awesome.
It'd be a
man.
For sure.
Alex, again, you wear so many different hats in the industry and you have so much respect from a lot of the pro players, obviously myself and Tyler included. But for younger players trying to climb their way through the ranks, what is a piece of advice you would give them? Like, what is one of the intangible traits that you look for if you are scouting for X Factor?
Honestly, it's just, for me, the biggest thing is just the right heart, if that makes sense. People that are determined, right?
Yeah.
Because, training and grinding and all that, we can teach them stuff. We can help them through all that. If they got the right mindset and they really want it, then you can work with those guys. For me, it's always, I'm looking more for heart than anything else.
Absolutely.
Because grinding and running drills, and we could teach them those things. And yeah, sure, there's there's guys out there that just have natural abilities, and they come with all these skills, somewhat, and you got to kind of teach them a few other things. But for me, I'm always looking for kids that are determined to win, or just determined to play the sport and do good. So I'm always looking for kids that are, they have the will and they have the heart. We can work with everything else.
Love that.
Obviously, little speed helps, but
Yeah.
Gun
For sure.
skills. For me, it's gun skills, man. And what keeps me in the sport, and I get to play a little bit, and I might not play much in the events because I look at my guys like they're a little younger and they can do almost the same thing as I can do. Sometimes I bring a little bit more knowledge to the field, but that's kind of how I feel. The practices is, I love to have fun with it, but what keeps me going is just gun skills, man. Work on your gun skills. You have great gun skills. You can do a lot of things, Be really good like Marcel, hide real good and then shoot someone with one ball,
That's it. If you got 5 paintballs and you could shoot 5 people, damn.
Hide for a bit,
Damn.
and, there it is. Kill one,
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
So,
Alex,
yeah.
you're a stud at practice. Don't sleep. For everybody out there listening, don't think that he's just out there like taking it easy. This guy is stunting. He's running people down. He's diving into 50s, and he's playing some top level ball. Still at you're
57.
in your 50s, 57, and you're
I'm
still
gonna be
running
58
around.
in July, brother.
Dude, congratulations,
58.
man. That's inspiration right there for me.
Absolutely.
That's truly one of the most inspiring things I've ever heard.
I mean, I do it for 2 reasons, right? I love the boys. I love paintball. I love all those great things, right? But the other thing, too, is for my health. So, these older guys that are out there that hesitate, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, I'm out of shape and all that. Hey, just start. Start with a walk. Start with a jog, And once you get paintball going in your life, it changes your life, man. It's great health. Your heart rate goes up, keeps you living longer. It's great way to exercise and keep you going in life, So that's, one of the reasons I do it. Just stay in shape, live a long life. I got a lot of responsibilities, I got a lot of mouths to feed. Got a lot of people, that work for me, and I got to keep this paintball thing going for as long as I can. So.
Well, you're still doing phenomenal stuff out there, and you're right, man. It is such a great way to not only mingle with the community, build relationships, but it is so good for your health to get out there and run around and play paintball. And people, listening, how difficult it is. And some of the people that maybe are in your household or at your work or your job or school, they say, "Oh, you play paintball." They don't know. They don't know how difficult it is running around out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's so good for you.
No, 100%, brother. Keeps you going.
Yeah,
Keeps your heart rate
it does.
up.
Yeah, the Discord is cracking. You've got so many people in here chiming off that are excited for you to be here. So I think we're kind of going to dive into this. We've got Rounder 11. He's wondering, did you get the name X Factor from Marvel? The sign looks like the one from the comics.
Oh, no, actually, when we decided to start all this, I let the boys decide. And it wasn't that we got it from Gatorade, but we kind of knew it was X Factor and Gatorade back in the day. But honestly, one of the top names was Infamous. We almost had Infamous, I let the boys vote on it. And that's kind of, they chose 3 names. One of them was Infamous, X Factor, and something else.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
The thing about this team, I always give them the opportunity to vote, It's a team effort. So everybody's got a voice and everybody's got to be able to live with it, and if you didn't win this vote this time, but team effort, and everybody says majority rules, and that's how it went down. It was just one of those things that just got chosen.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just at
Your
random.
guys' X Factor has always been run fairly similarly to Dynasty. I know just the whole thing of having a young group of kids that are all friends, grow up in the same area, and kind of earn it the hard way, work their way up through the ranks, and just came onto the scene and started hitting pretty much right away. I think you guys won your first event a year after being pro in Chicago. It's, to me, X Factor has always been one of my favorite organizations. I've said that on this show many times in the past. X Factor, people ask, like, what teams would you play for? And there's really not many, but, it always said it would be an honor to play for that organization. Definitely one of the favorite teams out there just because of what you've built, essentially. We talk about what makes players want to stay on a team. And to me, it's culture. How's the culture of a team? The culture is good. We can work with that. The money and all that stuff doesn't matter as much if the culture is really good. You'll find a way to make it work. Teams that don't have great culture, you got to spend a little bit more sometimes, and teams that do have great culture and also take care of their players, those are the organizations that do really well, right? Finding that balance. And I feel like X Factor has just kind of always been that. So it's a huge testament to what you've built. You seems like you do that in all of your businesses, all of your practices. It's just who you are. And the team's very lucky for sure to have you at the helm.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's integrity is a big word, and that's where we're at. I want everybody
There's a lot of
to
weight.
have a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
It just means a lot to me. And I always keep it simple. Just do what you're going to say and say what you're going to do. Just do it. If you say something, do it. And if it's okay if something's wrong, like, man up. Look at yourself in the mirror every day and call yourself out. What are you going to do better today than you did yesterday? So that's really what we build on. It's just one of those things, you just kind of grow on it. And you just push this into these young players and understanding what integrity means. And, being held accountable is okay. And, stand up, become a man, man up. And sometimes that's the hardest part, right? The hardest part is to be able to call yourself out.
And how do you guys go about navigating keeping each other accountable? I really do appreciate, like, after the last event, obviously, you guys lost Sunday morning, so did we. But I see the squad all in a circle, huddled together and having a really good conversation. What are some of the tactics that you do to keep each other accountable and make sure that we're always moving in the right direction to get to the finals and win tournaments?
Right. You're right. And sometimes right after the match isn't the best time to call each other out because your emotions will take over sometimes. So the biggest things that we try to focus on is what the errors that were made and not necessarily calling someone out, right? As a team, it's an error, right? If you lose by 1 or lose by 10, the thing is that you did it as a team. You can go into overtime point and lose. It doesn't mean
that's right.
One person made a bad call or a bad move on something. You can't, for me, you don't blame it on that one person because we had 5 other points that we could have done something with. So sometimes when we have these, obviously everybody wants to win, right? So when we have these little discussions after these matches, it's more about what we understand that might have gone wrong and to grow from that. The only way to get better at anything is to lose. Because if you're always winning, you're never going to get better. Someone's going to take you down and not understand how to get back up there because you've never been in that situation. So you have to lose to get better. You have to be challenged, And sure, things don't always work out. I get it. But for us, it's more about just kind of figuring out what we need to discuss. Don't let our emotions take over in that moment. When we come back home, we'll reanalyze that situation and go over the situations that we should have done better at. But the biggest problems for me is just keeping everybody understanding that it's a journey, and stay on task and work through it. And we'll get focused for the next one. Every time we get on the field, we're going to understand what we did from the last time, the last point that hurt us, to understand to be better this time and learn from every mistake you've made. So sometimes I just let the guys kind of think about how the match worked out for them. And then when we come back home, then we kind of get a little bit more involved about the actual point and how it broke down. And Ryan Brand does a great job. He really does. He'll go over the points with the guys and break it down a little bit. And we're not there to point fingers because that's not what we're doing. But we understand how it could have been better and the options that we had, right? That we could have done this and could have done that. And you learn from it, and that's what Ryan Brand does. He does a great job at that. So it's tough. Emotions take over and some things can be said and it's not the right time. Not right after a match. So I just try to keep everything at even keel and keep everybody calm and understand
Yeah.
it's just part of the journey.
Yeah, moving in the right direction. Always got to be moving
100%.
forward, upward, and in the right direction. And it's a difficult task. And thankfully, all three of us sitting here have the best organizations in the world, from top to bottom, on off the field. We're extremely blessed to be a part of the camps that we are. And it's not easy, as we all know as well. And it's going to take a lot of gumption, a lot of hard work, and a lot of togetherness to win tournaments. And if you do that and you all sign up and everybody buys into the culture and you play with that heart like you're talking about, Alex, anything's possible.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
And I want to bring something up. You brought up Dynasty earlier about, actually when we got started, that was one of the teams that we looked up to, and we still do, 100%. I look up to that team, because I just saw it. They were the number one team in the world, and they've been around for so long, and these great players have been on there. So it was something I actually tried to follow, to be honest with you. I spoke to Oliver back in the day, when we would see each other at the events and things like that, because, I would ask for advice at times, how do you keep these players going? How do you keep this going? And one of the key things that he told me goes, you got to understand that you got to have a core, and you build off your core. Because some of these other team players, might not work out. They'll come and go. I get it. He goes, but keep your core happy, and work on those guys, and everything else will feed around it. So I've always looked up to Dynasty. I think they have a great program. Just think, they've been pro longer than I've been playing. So
it's crazy how long they've been doing it.
Yeah, but they set the example, and it's a great team to try to follow, and understanding the direction and the things that they're doing, and take your team and kind of follow that road, and maybe you'll have some success. Like, Dynasty's had the most success from all the teams in the world. So that's our goal, right? Just to keep going, build on it.
Well, we love watching it, man.
Absolutely.
X Factor always has entertaining games and awesome players. Colt 45, legitimately one of my favorite players ever. Shout out to the Naughty Dog fam. We both played for the Naughty Dogs back in the day when I was younger in my career, and I just love that guy. He's got a great outlook. He's hilarious. He's nasty as hell at paintball, and such a great guy to have in the organization. And he's been playing for a long time and been holding it down. And in my opinion, he's still one of the best players out there that goes extremely underrated is Colt.
Yeah, he kind of stays in the shadows, but man, he's a great player. He's in his 40s now. But dude, I just looked at, like, as you get older through the ranks and you get older, you kind of mature up a little bit, and you start learning how to think and slowing things down. Because sometimes you're out there as a young guy and you kind of run around everywhere trying to kill everybody. And then you get these older guys in their 30s that get pretty good about just, sneaking around doing their thing. And then all of a sudden in their 40s, they're just real calm, and just calm and just doing their thing, it just seems so simple. But yeah, Cole Roberts, man, he's gone through it. He's done the grind. He's done all the work. I love him. He's been a big part of the X Factor for sure. He saw these boys grow up, and he's been a big, big part of it.
Yeah, I love the early stories that you told about him helping out. I never knew that.
Oh, yeah. We looked up to Robert. We just looked up to him. All the boys did. I didn't know any better. I came in, didn't know anything about paintball. All I just knew is that playing college ball on baseball, I bunted, 1,000 times before they let me swing a bat, So it was drill before you did anything else. So, we drilled all the time, and Cole would come around and just give us pointers on how we should be playing the game. But all the boys looked up to Cole. Always. Huge
Legend.
part of it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, 100%.
Love that. All right, Al, back to the Discord questions. We have Clint Riddle. He says, Alex, you are a saint. Thank you so much for your contributions to the sport and building the culture. Funny, we were just talking about culture. Can you tell me one person in paintball that you'd like to celebrate or shout out who needs some love that's going unnoticed? You might have just answered that.
Yeah, cool. There's a long list of players that I think they're just great players. It's easy to say someone off my team, right? But let's not go there. Let's
Dixon and the the Odell brothers. You guys had some
Odells.
awesome players.
No, from the Cohens, right? And they're the ones that kind of got
Cohen's.
everything started. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, Brett Cohen and Ryan Cohen. I mean, and then the Odells and Dusty and Devin and Cody Bayless, dude. Cody Bayless was the first player that came on this team at paintball nights when Sean was 13 years old. Cody was 15 years old. And he played on the team for years. And then he went and did his service. Thank you, Cody. He went in the Army, did his service, came out of the service, and came back to paintball. So when you're talking about OG, original guy, Cody Bates and Colt Roberts. So I love him coming back. I just thought it was so cool. And he straight up goes out. I only can play on this team. I can't play anywhere else. So if I want to play, I'm going to play here. I'll say, absolutely, brother. I love you.
I love that.
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, man. Love that.
That's crazy. Yeah, he's been in the trenches literally and came back, because when your heart's tied to this game, there's no shaking it. It's just, it has a hold on you. And I know, Marcelo, myself, you, Al, and so many people out there listening, it's just a really unique sport that once it grabs a hold of you, it's hard to ever do anything else and have it like provide the emotions and the feelings that paintball does.
Yeah, absolutely. The people in the sport too, man. I enjoy being out there. Just seeing you guys, Marcelo, when I seen you as a kid coming up playing with Aftermath, and where you're at now. I remember seeing a video with you and Bob Long. You were 12 or 13 years old, and I saw a little clip. I was like, look at this kid. He's 12, 13 years old, and here's Bob Long on the side of the net, just trying to train you down the field. And I just thought like, wow, and I see you guys now, some of y'all are having babies and some of y'all are married and stuff. And it's like, wow. Yeah, I've been part of it for a while, but man, there's so many great stories, and I see you guys growing up. It's just amazing. I mean, it's cool to see y'all become great men. So.
Well, it's because of people like you too, bud. And it's all love. Like, we got the paintball family, and it's truly the greatest. You cannot place it any higher. We were talking about, if you ever need help, we have a coalition of people that are just some of the best people in the world that you could knock on their door and they would let you in and, feed you or give you a place to stay, because it's just that kind of a culture that we're a part of.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, we got the Dorfster. The Dorfster, he's wondering, he would love to hear your advice for how to expand and grow a new program while still playing and building a brand like you did with X Factor.
Okay. Well, it was kind of back to where you find people that are committed, and then build on that. Start with one, get two, and then we talked about having a core, and if you're going to go down the business side of it, well, just be really focusing your business. If you want to do something with paintball, whether it's a field, a store, or just being out there doing, some training and some lessons or whatever, just be really good and be honest about what you're going to do. Be straight up, integrity, and all those good things just come into play. But if you want to build a good program, just one at a time. Grab one player, build on that player, grab another, and just kind of work with it. And I hate to say it, some guys would come in with this attitude of, I'm all in. And then, sometimes it doesn't work out, and you just got to just kind of move on. So sometimes you got to part ways and move on to the next guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. All right. We have Osborne for this. Alex, what advice would you give someone considering opening a field or buying out an existing field?
It's going to take a lot of work, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it. Just stay focused on your business, a little bit at a time. It's better to have a little drip, if this makes sense, to drip, where the money's coming in slowly and growing and growth, and always listen to your customers. Listen to what they're asking for. If they need a cleaner facility, if they want a better park, or they want a better feel or a woods feel and all those things, and just kind of, put it out there and start growing on that. understanding what your customer wants, because every area is a little different. Texas might be different than California, and there's different fields on how they operate. But listening to your customer will help grow your field and kind of just work from that. Have a great staff, work on your staff, understanding that people that are coming to your park is actually helping you pay your salaries and wages.
Yeah.
To make sure that they understand that then people leave here wanting to share the experience with other people. So have a great staff, be kind and courteous, have a great experience, just work hard 24/7, brother. It's just the way I know.
Yeah. Grit and grind. You got to be
Yep.
getting it. And that kind of hits on what one of our Discord PTG fan members, Fab, he was wondering. He said, first of all, thanks for your dedication to the sport. He was asking, what do you think the number one mistake made by field owners is? And that kind of hits on it. You got to really take heed to what people are saying and listen and be receptive to information so that you can provide that great experience for them. He was also wondering, is it a good idea to improve the viewability of the sport for the NXL to require paint to be a brighter shell for events? What are your thoughts on the paint shell color for paintball?
Yeah, I'm not against it. I mean, anything we can put out there that you can see a little better would be great, right? It's easier to follow, right? So yeah, I think it'd be great. It's not a bad idea, to be honest with you. A little bright orange ball might help out, and make it a standard thing, and everybody can kind of see that ball coming through the air a little quicker, a little easier.
Yeah,
But
we actually had Tom was on here. He said he promised. I heard him. He said it on here. He said that they're going to be putting that paint into effect, so we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. I really do. I think that if we can make the product more viewer friendly, like we talked about earlier, any way that we can make this packaged product as applicable to the eye and to a viewer, to where they can receive information and be more concise on what they're watching, I think we should definitely lean that way to help viewership.
Yeah. And I'll say something about on the business side of it. Just remember that, I didn't start playing tournament paintball. I started playing paintball.
Yeah.
Right. So my experience was on the rec side. So these fields that are considering opening up or, maybe having a field, things like that. I hate to say it, I love tournament paintball and I love players, but kind of, you got to cater to the rec side because that's where it starts. It starts with the birthday parties. It starts with the corporate events. It starts with all that kind of stuff. That was our first experience with the birthday party, So it's like, to build a good business, it's on the rec side, and then it'll flow into the tournament side, and that'll help your cash flow on the business side. But the rec side is where the money is. Understanding that side of it and grow that side. On the tournament side, it'll be much easier. Because those players are going to come back.
It's kind of like if you go snowboarding for your first time and they didn't have a bunny hill, all they had was the park, with all the ramps and stuff. You'd be going, wait, hold on a second. I don't think this is for me. I'm out. And for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah. And one of the things you don't want to do, we try not to mix in tournament players with the rec side. Like if on our business side of it, if I have players that have their own equipment and they're just, full auto, we have everything capped at 10 for us, and you got a single pool, nothing can be on a ramp on the rec side. So for me is like people that show up with their own guns. And if we have enough on the rec side, we'll split them up. I keep the rentals on the rentals, and I keep people that have their own guns on. There might be 20 dudes playing against each other, but try not to mix them in too much. It'll help the business. Yeah,
definitely don't want people getting dunked on and having that bad experience. So you got to make sure you cater to your customers and provide the best time possible for them out there.
100%. Okay, was that next? Forgot if I asked that question.
If you got one, you can fire it off.
I do. Okay, yeah. Jens wants to know, if you could pick one additional player for your team, who would it be and why?
Ooh.
Tough question.
there's a list of players I would love to pick up, right? And I'm not going to say any names, but the real reason is just their abilities, right? The field awareness that they have, the ability to win. So, I mean, yeah, there's a handful of players I would love to pick up. But
why can't you say any names?
Back, well, I'll tell you one. If I could bring someone back straight up, it'd be Archie.
It'd be Archie. That's a cop out. It can't be Archie.
Yeah,
come on.
I love the boy.
He's already been there. Archie is so dynamite.
There's a handful, there's a handful of guys, but I don't want to start anything up, so I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
Next thing I know, I got a few other owners calling me. Hey, I hear you're doing this. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's it called in other sports when owners do that? Like not meddling. It's what is it?
Do you mean headhunting someone?
Yeah, something like that. I know it's illegal in other sports. We're not there yet. We don't have these rules in place. So that's funny. All right, fair enough. So Tyler, he's talking about us. That's why he won't say it. 100%. Obviously, just kidding.
Yeah.
So we got young J Stu 704. Alex, you have always called yourself a mentor to young men, and I'll say an astounding one at that. What's one piece of wisdom you could give, paintball related or not, to the people listening right now?
Yeah, for me, one of the things I do every day, I actually look at myself in the mirror when I wake up and just, try to see what I'm going to do better for that day, and call myself out when I'm doing things wrong, what I feel is wrong. But, and I have a lot of faith, so there's times where you just got to kind of sit in a moment by yourself and take that in. And understand that life is precious. It's just a precious thing every day. Stay positive, brother. Stay positive. Always surround yourself with great people and stay positive. But every day, brother, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, today I'm going to do this. And this is what I'm going to do for others.
Yes. Yeah,
love
proclaim it.
Yeah.
And I love what you said as well about your company, the people around you, and being inspired by them and inspiring each other. That is what cultivates an amazing life, an amazing family, team, whatever, business, whatever it is the people, and it's definitely a lot of work, but that work is so worth it when you're all on the same page and striving for greatness together.
100%, brother. It's well worth it. 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
My last question, and it's a tough one. Sometimes the PTG community, they do like to ask the good questions. From Cyrus, he says, Alex, with the organization falling short in finals appearances in recent years, what do you think was the main reason for those shortcomings?
I think, we have a program that we're working on. We brought in a couple of new players and things like that in the last couple of years. You lose a player like Archie, that can hurt you a bit, but we're growing from it. And I get it. But honestly, I think it's just, we all know that all the teams around us are getting better. They are. Look at the Hurricanes. I mean, they're coming up. They stepped in, they're doing great. Other teams are growing. So it's not as easy as it used to be, and that's where I'm at with it, and just kind of, the right feel, the right players, the right moment. You can win events. You just got to put it together. So, yeah, we've had a little stumbling situation here, but we're growing. TJ came in first season last year, couldn't really play. The COVID year was kind of weird. Colt was scared to play. And so we had a little bumps in the road, but I'll tell you right now, brother, we're focused. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're focused on, we're all on the right line and we're all on the right path. So we'll grind and do what we're supposed to, but we're going to win. And it starts from the top. I'm a winner in heart, brother. We're going to win.
I believe you. I'm sitting here believing you. I know it. I know it's going to happen. It could happen this year for sure. You guys looked amazing at the last event, kicked our butts on Saturday. Actually, helped us. It's a tough situation to be in, to have to play the same team twice, but X Factor is just from top bottom. Again, the culture is right. I think you guys are coached incredibly well, great ownership, and you have a lot of talent. So
yeah, the coach is great.
I believe you.
Brand does a great job, man. He really does.
Yeah,
he does
absolutely.
a lot of work for us.
Yeah, it's a tough gig. It really is. And you guys just all have such a good vibrato like energy. X Factor Paintball, it's a fun place to be. I know Houston Heat, we come out and practice all the time. Are we playing each other again prior to Texas?
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'll get
Yeah,
to see
yeah,
you
for
soon.
sure.
All right, perfect.
No, we're going to do an off week. We're going to practice Notorious and Diesel. So we'll do a little 3-way before the event, and then we'll go practice you guys. And then I think
Awesome.
we're practicing Dynasty Thursday before the event. That's what I understood.
There we
I
go,
didn't get
Margie.
that memo.
No, you didn't get that memo. I'm not sure, but something like that. Maybe Ryan knows more about it than I do.
Yeah,
He's in
okay.
charge.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought we had NYX and Diesel at the event, and then Level reached out, but we had already had somebody. Huh. I mean, we would love to practice you guys. We always get great looks with you guys. So no one's reached out to me, and I usually set the practices for the team. So
Okay, cool.
have Ryan contact me.
I'll check back with Ryan on this, and we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Maybe Ryan and Archie got something going that we don't know anything about.
Yeah. Hi. Here we go. Archie again, changing the rules. Nice.
All right, I got another question. This is my last one from Kaylin, Inspired Paintball. Alex, he was wondering what your thoughts and feelings about the Best Kids in Texas documentary that they did. And that was on Amazon, I believe. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. It's an amazing paintball documentary. And he was wondering your thoughts on that. And then his second question is your favorite player to watch of all time.
Ooh. Favorite player to watch at all time, I think straight up it's Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw Oliver 2003 when they first did the X Ball, and I saw him make a couple moves. I was like, holy blank. I was like, man, this kid's amazing. So yeah, Oliver has been just a great player all around. And there's a handful of other guys out there, but yeah, early on what I saw with Oliver, I just thought was amazing.
He's a dog
natural.
out there.
Yeah, it's just natural abilities and all that great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm sorry. What was the other question?
Just in regards to the film that they made about the best kids in Texas.
Look, honestly, I got to give a shout out to Planet Eclipse, man. I love them for it. I mean, it was just something that's so amazing that we were able to put a story out there with them.
It's tremendous.
It's awesome. I mean, I can't even have words for it. When we did this and saw everything that we've done and to help, it actually kind of skyrocketed Texas a little bit, gave everybody a little hope, and see what everything, what we do and what we're about. So it was just awesome. I mean, it's just a story out there, and it's great for paintball, whether it's our team or another team, but if they can put more stuff out there like that, man, it's awesome.
Yeah, go check it out. If you have not, go to Amazon. And I know everybody has Amazon. It's taken over. So check out that documentary that they did on the boys from Texas there. It's really a good one.
Yeah, let's see here if I could get this to scroll up.
Oh, you got it? Best Kids in Texas on Amazon. There you go, YouTubers.
There we go. Let's get a little action there. Shout out to the YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, man, Al, it's been a great opportunity to have you on the show and share, insight to the X Factor paintball camp, field, ownership, the whole thing. But where can people keep up with what's going on at the field, with the team?
Well, our website, you just go to X Factor Paintball Park anytime.
Okay.
Just xfactorpaintballpark.com. You'll pull up everything about it.
Awesome.
And then we have a pro site on there and follow up with all that good stuff. But yeah, man, awesome. I wanted to thank you guys for what y'all are doing. I think y'all are doing a great job. It's great for paintball. I love you guys.
Thanks, Al. Right back at you, brother.
You're the man.
We love you, man.
Yeah, got you, bro.
Dude, for life. This is what it's all about, is these relationships. And thank you for everything that you've done in paintball over the years, nurturing so many youngsters in the game, making sure that the park is always dialed in proper, the team's having fun, because, it's safe to say that you've definitely shifted a lot of players' futures in this game, and they wouldn't be having the type of trajectory that they have these days without your guidance and nurturing their career early on. So thank you for everything that you do. We can't wait to see you in your home state pretty soon for the second NXL here coming up.
Couple
Yeah,
weeks.
it's getting close, brother.
Yes,
Can't
sir.
wait, guys.
Keep working
Right around
out.
the corner.
Work hard and grind. We're getting ready.
That's right. Let's go.
You already know we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You're the
Alex,
man,
thank you so much, man. You're the best, truly.
Thank you, brother.
Can't wait to come back out to X Factor. Love the hospitality. Can't wait for the barbecue, the whole thing. Look forward to seeing you
Oh,
guys
my
soon.
mouth's watering. God.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. We'll
Let's
see you
make a
guys.
basketball court. We're gonna figure out this.
Yes,
21
Hey.
yes. We just one hoop. We just need one hoop. We just need one hoop. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I can't wait. I love that. That's amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Have
All
a
right.
great
We'll
night.
see you soon. You too, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Peace.
All right, everybody. Really hope you enjoyed that one. For me personally, that is going to be one of my all-time favorites. Alex Martinez is just such a legend in the game and such a dynamite individual. I could talk to the man for hours. I really look up and appreciate all the things that he does within the sport. Really, really provides a great experience for his team and players that go to his field, and anybody that, you know, travels to X Factor Paintball Park. They get treated like absolute royalty. Alex is just, you know, top notch. So hope you guys loved it. If you did, please head over to ptgpaintball.com and show your support if you would like. Click the Patreon link. It's a little orange tab in the top left corner, and become a supporter at any level. If you do that, you will get access to the Discord and all sorts of different giveaways and really fun stuff. So we hope to see you in there. Thank you guys so much again. As always, we will see you very soon.